Hello, hello. We are live. Alisa Meredith here to talk about LinkedIn, how to find, connect, and engage with prospects who convert. And I am not alone. I am here with my friend Alan Hennessey. Hello, Alan. How you doing?
How are you, Alisa? It's a
Uh,
pleasure to be here with you tonight.
I'm very glad you're here. And I don't know if you all noticed, but Alan's background matches my colors, and he did that on purpose. So this is pretty special. Yeah. And you also might have noticed already that our Irish invasion continues. So we were thrilled to have some really great guests from Ireland lately. We can keep this up if you know of anybody else we should talk to. But Alan is the head of digital at Kompass Media, a digital marketing consultant who attributes his success and the success of his clients to his practice of identifying the new and ever-changing market forces and market trends firsthand. So we like somebody who likes to dig in and learn this stuff firsthand.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. I love
Yeah.
it.
All right. And we see Brian is here. Great to see you, Brian. Good evening, or yes, good evening to you in, I'm going to guess, Barcelona. Let us know where you are. And anyone else watching or watching the replay, let us know where you are, where you're watching from, and what you hope to learn. We'd love to make this about you. So we want to use your examples as we talk about what we can do. Now, if you're looking for some kind of basics about LinkedIn, there a couple weeks back we had Mary Rose Lyons, who was incredible, also from Ireland. What is this Ireland LinkedIn thing?
We love it. We love it.
Okay, we love LinkedIn. But I really wanted to dig in to this like prospecting because I felt like we talked about it briefly and there was a lot of interest, but we didn't really have the time to dig in because there's just so much else to do. So having this opportunity with you, Alan, we're going to do it. So let's talk about, before we start this kind of prospecting, and what I mean by that is like finding potential clients, reaching out to them and kind of warming them up. What are people going to look at? So what do we have to prepare before we start this outreach?
Yeah, it's always a part that people do is they start on LinkedIn, and automatically what they do is they get their profile up and they go, right, I'm going to connect with everyone and anyone. And we all did it. I did it when I
Yeah, we're
started out
excited.
first.
Yeah.
But I think, and I think that's what people think that they should do. So really, what I always say to people is at the end of the day, you're going on there and you're going on there for a reason. So if you're going on for that reason, it's to create a relationship. It's to build relationships, and hopefully that turns into conversions and sales and whatever, or relationships and building
Yeah.
long term relationships. But the starting point that I would always say to people is making sure that your profile is ready, and it's going to be attractive to people. It's knowing that, because what happens is if someone comes on and they try to connect with me, the first place I will go is straight over, and I will go directly to their profile and I'll
Yeah.
read about them, and then I say to myself, is this someone that I want to connect with? Is this someone that is of value to me? Is this someone that's going to help me solve a problem? Are these people connected to other people that I may want to talk to later down the line, or reach out and grab it, get an introduction? So having your profile up and having it looking good and smart, and giving that information as a and a lot of people make the mistake of writing a profile in the third person. I always say,
Oh yeah, we
remember,
talked.
remember that your profile is about you. So
Yes.
write it about you type of thing. But that's the
So
first place
awkward.
that
Yeah.
people, that's the first place that always I would say to people is to make sure your profile. I think Mary Rose actually did talk about that. In
Yeah.
regards to profile, there's key elements, you know, obviously your background, your banner
Okay.
at the top, great
Yep.
piece of real estate for you to use, your profile picture, make
Mm-hmm.
sure that it's up to date and it's you. Nobody wants to see you when you are away on holidays 5 years ago, and then
Yeah,
they
or your
meet you.
dog.
Yeah, or your dog, exactly. But what they want to do is they want to be able to. So if I jump on a call with you, and I want to be able to say, "Oh, Alisa, yeah, I recognize you," as opposed to going, "Oh, you had blonde hair and
Straight.
when and I'm going, is this the same person?" So, keep it current and keep it well. And look, you can invest in professional photographs, but these things here,
Yeah, our
great
phones are
cameras.
amazing.
Get someone to take a picture of you and try and make it as clear, and do a head and shoulders, so it's not far away, so they get to see your
Mm,
face because they want to connect with you. So that'll be the key points. And then obviously your about section, very important, and show your experience. And don't be afraid not to show your experience. It's not about bragging rights here. It's about letting people know who you are and what you do and what you can offer them to. So very, very important is your profile. That's the first place that I would always start with. Um, and then it's about building them connections and finding the people that you want to connect with.
okay, very good. Phoebe Moon's here. Hello, hello. Thank you. That's very sweet. I'm always happy to see you here. LinkedIn is a great place for people for find people who have occupations similar to mine. We might be able to collaborate. That is a great point, right? Because we're not always looking for a sale. Sometimes we're looking for a partner. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much opportunity there. Like two of my business partners, I actually follow them for years. I'm very protective about Compass Media and the brand because it's all about being personal. And you know
Mm,
yourself, if it's your own business, you're very protective. And like that, the two girls that are working with me now, and we work together. We don't work; they don't work for me. We work as a team, so it is a collaboration. And like that, I found them on LinkedIn, and I
oh,
started following them and really interested in what they were saying and the whole way about they went about creating content and delivering content. And it was a lot of it was not about them; it was
yeah.
more about others. So it was really sharing that information, and that's a key point there. So
Ooh,
yes,
yeah.
collaborations can be so powerful, and you're in the right place to find these collaborations as well.
Yes. Okay, so I think there's a story there. I would love to hear more about how you found these two ladies, what attracted you to them, and how you moved from the discovery all the way to working together.
So they were the Yvonne Redden is she's a copywriter, and then also Wendy Stunt, who is a marketeer as well, and she's a visionary consultant, and
Ooh,
that is what sort of attracted me, made my I suppose my ears prick up and go, visionary consultant, what's that?
hmm,
And like that, I decided to follow them, and I started watching their content.
yeah,
I actually started watching the content first, and then I started to follow them. And then when I started to follow them, I started to engage with them. And through engaging with them, through the content that they were putting out there, led on to conversations which we brought offline. And then we started to talk a little bit more. And I suppose it's when something clicks in your head and you go, yeah,
yeah.
these get what I'm about, and I get what they're about, and I can see a lot of synergy there. So there was a lot of that, and the same with Yvonne. She's a copywriter, an amazing copywriter, and she's also a blogger. And at the time, I actually was looking for someone to do copywriting for a client of
Mm,
ours, and I chatted with her, and we got on very well, and she'd done a number of projects for us. And then we said, look, there's a great synergy here. So,
hmm,
but yet again, it was through the content that she was putting out on LinkedIn, because as
yeah,
much as LinkedIn is a networking tool, it's also a great resource. And it's a
yeah.
great resource for finding the right people, because you'll very quickly start to see where there is, relationships that you can start to really develop,
Hmm.
and I think that's so important. So that is probably, I suppose, how I met the wonderful ladies that I'm surrounded by now, and now they tell me what to do.
Oh, good, good. We all need that person. So I want to get real specific, and maybe it was a while ago, so maybe you don't remember, in which case we will let you off the hook. But you said you found them and you followed their content. How do you think you might have found them
um,
initially?
because see, this is one of those things that people forget about. If I'm A lot of people, when they go on LinkedIn, what they do is they would usually follow people that are in their industry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now that can be good. That can be good, and also can be bad sometimes. But the fact of the matter is they were writing the content. The girls were writing the content that excited me and made me sort of go, I'd like to read that. And then as I started to read what they were talking about and the content that they were delivering, I started to engage and say, yeah. And like that, we started having conversations back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose initially, it was the type of content that they were writing was inviting me to read it more. And then when I started to see them, that, so if, for instance, Wendy would put out a piece of content on a Monday, I may not actually be there on at the time and look at it, but I would get a notification and I'd say, making a point of going in and reading it, because I found that every time she was putting out content, it was of value to me. And
Okay.
likewise, the same with Yvonne. So it's
But
about that. I suppose
yeah.
it's about that connecting, and it's about that connection and saying, yes, this is good. This is good. This helps me.
Okay. But why did you get exposed to their content in the first place?
Because they were directing their type of content at at me, and not necessarily directly to me, but to people that were in my industry, and they were talking to, and you start to see, like, that's the way the algorithms will work on LinkedIn. If you say that you're connected to real estate agents, you're going to see a lot of information about real estate agents coming up in your feed, because that's what LinkedIn is looking at you and saying, oh, well, this person likes social media, he likes
Okay.
marketing. So that's how you're starting to see a lot of people's content. So
Okay.
that's a key point to sort of keep in mind if you
Yeah.
are writing, or who you're connecting with. You
Okay.
know?
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that I was seeing more than just the people I follow in my feed, or
Mm,
or
mm.
the posts of people that I follow who comment on that feed. So it really is kind of more of a discovery, like outside of just who you
Yeah,
follow.
but you're going to get your followers or your connections content in front of you, because it's going to be it's there, because obviously your first connections, they're going to see it more so. But you'll also
Mhm.
see the content that's out there that will excite you, and that's how they've built the network really out. Is because what they've done is they've sort of said, okay, well, this person is interested in A, and this person is interested in B. So let's push a little bit more content out there, and they'll put it in front of the people. And that's where tagging your content and posting and all that type of, the good stuff, and
Mm.
using the right hashtags. LinkedIn see that. Like, they're watching everything as it's going out, and they're saying, okay, right, this is the way we're going to guide this. And that's where their algorithms and all kick into place.
Cool. So, what are some ways that we might not have thought of to find potential customers or business partners?
Um, a, a good lot of people will sort of go out and they'll look and they say, okay, I've seen this company online. They'll go in and they'll look on it. They'll find them on Google or something like that. Okay.
Hmm.
Google is a great place to find it, because Google and LinkedIn have a phenomenal relationship.
Oh,
Because if you ever notice that if you type in a person's name on Google, you'll get their website, but 9 times out of 10, you'll get their LinkedIn profile underneath, and it'll always come up in the first page.
oh yeah.
So there's a great relationship there. So you can really find the people. And you'll see as well sometimes on Google where you might have put in, a particular brand. And next of all, it'll come up with the brand, and then it'll come up with LinkedIn profiles of certain people within that
Okay.
organization. So that's a good way of finding them. The other way would be is onto LinkedIn, and there's the search facility, And people sometimes just use that search facility,
Sure.
but there is an advanced search facility which makes you able to, it gives you the opportunity to really niche down and find exactly who you look for. So
Yeah.
it could be someone in Ireland, it could be someone in Dublin, or it could be a company. And then you could say, well, okay, well, what country is it in? Do you know, where are they? What's their location? What's their geographic? What size of the company is it? And it'll start to
Okay.
give you that. You can filter that information down to really, really specific areas that you want. And then you're going to see the amount of people that are in that fit that criteria of that company. So you can be really, really powerfully, to really just dig in and dig it deeper into the
Okay.
actual search facilities.
All
Mm.
right. Well, we have Brian here. He's a wedding photographer in the UK. So
Mm.
let's kind of use him as an example if we could. And what he would be looking for is probably wedding venues that he could partner with. And
Mm.
Brian, chime in, tell me what the real story is, but we can kind of go with that for now and talk about exactly how would he do that. He's in the search bar. He's going to type in.
He might type in event managers. He might type in hotel managers. He may type in, you know, you've got to think of who are the people like, and see, this is where social media becomes a part
Mhm.
of real life, basically. So if you are going to go and you're going to search for someone, or you're going to go and try and connect with a business, say a hotel,
Yeah.
okay, who is the person that you need to talk to? Okay. So if it's obviously, if it's the event manager, the banquet manager, whoever it may be, that's going to help you. So say if he's doing wedding photography, he's going to be talking, he's going to be looking for the people that are organizing, wedding planners, another great one. Okay. But the other side of this is you've also got to think within them organizations, who would be the key people that would be on LinkedIn. So,
Mm.
for instance, the CEO, or the general manager of the hotel may not have the time to do it, but his PA may have the time to do it. So,
Okay.
getting in looking at them, looking for them as well, will give you the opportunity to get in front. So, there's a story that I tell, and it's a true story. It's a friend of mine had she was doing these gifts, like a gift bag for Christmas. And she was trying to get in front of all these corporate businesses in Dublin. Okay. And she was trying to get in front of one particular big organization. And she said to me, I just can't get to the right person there. And I said, okay, well, what are they? And she says, well, they're sort of like a corporate gift, which you would give out to senior executives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I said to her, go and look for the CEO's PA. Okay, look who is there, and I says that's the person that you want to get in contact with, because that's the person that's going to bring that. She's the buyer. She's not. She's going to be the shopper, not the buyer. Okay, so the
Okay.
idea is that shopper will then turn and say, "Oh, look, here's a great corporate gift that we could give to our clients."
Okay.
The CEO doesn't have the time. He just goes, "Yeah, whatever you think," and then she goes and she does the job. So she was this girl was targeting the wrong person.
Okay. That
So
makes
it's
sense.
it's about trying to make sense of it in your own head and say, okay, well, who can I connect with that's going
Okay.
to help me get to where I want to be,
All
and
right.
how am I going to? And then the next part of that is if you do get in front of that person, is to start engaging with them. Don't just automatically go in for the kill and say, okay, you know, I do wedding photography. You want to be talking to them and talking and finding out what their interests are. How are they using LinkedIn? What is it, the content that they're putting out, and and start engaging with them and building that relationship. So they now know when you do go to connect with them, they know you. They know you already. So you're halfway there instead of just going in, because there's nothing as bad as someone coming in. And Scott Stratton said it. I was listening to a program the other night, and he was talking on it, and he says it's like using LinkedIn and going in straight in for a sale. is like going into a bank and saying in the bank, okay, I want to take 5,000 euros. I want to take $5,000 out of my account. So you don't have an account. Yeah, but I want to take it out before I give you
Oh,
before I start.
funny. Yeah.
So the idea behind it is that, there's no point in going in and getting and trying to sell them something without even getting to know them, because they won't
Yeah,
trust you.
that's
They
true.
won't give it to you. So there's a huge amount of, and that's a big mistake that a lot of people. I can't tell you the amount of times that I'll actually have people who would say, I want to connect with you. And sometimes for fun, I'll actually connect them. And I just say, I'll actually count it down how quickly they would send me a message.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think we've all gotten those. Oh my goodness.
we see you're a digital marketer. We have an app here that's no,
Yeah, I
no.
know. So let's go through an example for Brian. Let's say he wants to get referrals to shoot weddings at Bovey Castle. I don't even know if that's a possibility, but we're going to say it is. So I have gone on LinkedIn and I've searched Bovey Castle. And what I see is the page and then I see the people. So let's say I find, okay, Ella Mae Martin, she is an event coordinator. I think that might be a
Okay.
person to
So
talk to, right?
that's one person. Now, before we go any further,
Yeah.
that what was the girl's name? Say
Ella
so.
Mae Martin.
We just say we call her Ella. So Ella. So we look at Ella. Okay. Look as well at who Ella is connected to.
Okay. Let's look.
So who else is she connected to?
I can't tell because we're a third level.
Okay, but what you can do is you can start to see who is she in a
She's
group?
commenting.
Is she in any groups?
Yeah. What
So you can go
about
in
on
there
the
and see.
yeah, like on the side, there's this section people also viewed. Would that be a good place to source more
Yeah,
people
yeah,
too?
yeah, yeah. There's that's why these placeholders are there. They're to help you. And a lot of people just brush by them and say, "Oh, I don't need it. Look at that." Like LinkedIn offers so
Yeah.
many opportunities to do so many different things. And like even in regards to down to downloading your data. If you
Yeah.
have 3 or 4 thousand connections on your LinkedIn, okay, you now can download all that data. Now, some of them may hide their email addresses, but some don't. But if you have, say, 2,000 connections on LinkedIn, even if you got 50 of the email addresses, that's 50 more that's on your list than it was before. And you can very easily find these people and even ask them. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying to you that you should go and use that. You should ask for their if it's okay to contact them. But
Hmm.
what I'm saying is that you have that information that you can start to really, niche down. But going back to Ella, so we're looking to connect with Ella. So what I would be saying there is okay, well, let's look at what Ella is posting on LinkedIn, because that will tell me immediately whether she's active on LinkedIn.
Okay, let me look. Activity, see all activity. See, she liked something. She liked something. She's not really posting. It looks like she's just liking stuff.
Okay. So what type of content is she liking?
Oh, here she is liking a resume service person. Um, let's see. It looks like she's liking content from Bovey Castle, which is cool.
Okay.
Uh, yeah.
So maybe look then for who is there anyone in the marketing department in Bovey Castle?
Oh, I don't know. Let me
See,
go back.
see the way it's a case of digging. You
Mm-hmm.
have to sort of dig to find out where people are, because then you sort of go, okay, well, who's posting the content on Bovey Castle?
Yeah, because I can see pretty clearly that it looks like it's actually the events and reservations manager who's posting.
So there we go. So who's the
Uh,
events and reservations manager?
that's Esme Chamberlain. It's so
Okay,
funny
so
if they
there's
ever knew we were talking about them.
yeah. So there we go. So now we found out that Esme Chamberlain is the person that's doing the posting. So okay, so we
Yeah.
need to start we need to reach out and connect with her, or we need to start, before we connect, we need to start following and also liking and commenting on their content.
Mm-hmm.
So LinkedIn isn't a quick game; it's a long game. It's a game of working, having that strategy to start to really dig in and look and see. Okay, right, we know Esme now is the person that's posting the content. So let's start talking to her.
I
Let's see
love
what
that.
she's posting. And then you could even go down that, like Brian could even go down the road of say, oh, that's a fabulous photograph. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And don't actually say that he does the photographs yet,
Right, but
because
it's
that's
also in
you
his
put,
tagline, right? They're going to
yeah.
see that when he comments.
But the other side of that is though he's just saying, what a beautiful photograph. And he doesn't
Yeah.
need to go any further on that first occasion.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
idea is that you start building that relationship. Oh, that's really interesting, or whatever it is. Start finding, looking at the content and even sharing it, sharing their content with your
Yeah.
community, because what that is that's creating social currency. And by
Okay.
sharing that social currency, it takes time, it takes effort, but it also takes the emotion as well. You have emotion in that. So now they're seeing you sharing their content. They're going to take notice and say, this looks like a person that I should be connected with.
Yeah.
So you're really working on that. And that social currency is also great, because what it does is it helps you to promote yourself indirectly.
Yeah.
Because now what happens is other people are starting to follow you and follow you for what you're delivering out on LinkedIn.
Cool.
And this goes back to the other side of creating content. Now you don't even have to create a lot of content, because it's already there. And
Yeah.
if the more you drive other people's content, the more they're going to see that. And when you post your content, they're going to now start to share yours out, as because it's
True.
reciprocal. So there's these type of things that people need to do. It's
Yeah.
either, can you follow it out without connecting? You can, to a certain degree, but what I would be doing is I would be following their content first and then reaching out. If someone comes back to you, so for instance, Alisa, if I turn on and I said put out if you put out information about, say, even Pinterest or whatever the topic, or your paintings,
Mhm.
okay, and I came back to you and I said, oh, that's a fabulous photograph, that's a fabulous painting, how long did that take you to do? Right. What
Yeah.
I'm doing there is I'm starting a conversation with you.
Yeah. So it looks to me like you have the option to connect is usually the default unless the person has a
Mm,
um
yeah, if they've a
creator account.
creator if they've a creator account,
Yeah.
then it's you can follow them. It's
Okay.
just
But
people switching. But
yeah.
if you have a personal account, you can switch it from connections to followers
Yeah.
if you want. There's
Yeah.
still that option there, you
And I
know.
notice if you click the more button, there is that option to follow, even if the default is
Mm.
connect. So that if you follow, can you then get notifications for their content?
Yeah, you will,
Okay.
because
Okay.
once you start following some, it's like if I'm walking down the street and I'm following you, you turn left, I can turn left as well
Yes,
with you.
that's right. Yeah.
That's how it works. So,
Okay. Let's talk
and
about
that's not trying to be creepy
yeah.
or anything.
I know.
Just as it's only when I say that I went, ooh.
Uh-uh. Yeah, no, not creepy. Okay, let's talk about how we might use the work that our competitors have already done on LinkedIn
In what respect do you mean by that?
in finding people we should connect with. And there, I'm thinking about maybe they've already made some connections that we might want to make.
Yeah. So yet again, it goes back to looking at the people that connect. Like for instance, like you can do this sort of thing. Okay. And
Yeah.
this is something it's quite good to do as well. So if, for instance, I go on and I see that, I don't know, that Mark Zuckerberg or is connected to Alisa. Okay. And then all of a sudden I turn around and I go, I see mutual connections, Alisa.
Mm,
Okay. I can go to Mark Zuckerberg and I can say to him, and I'm only using him as a for instance, it could be
yeah.
anybody. Um, I could say, oh, I see you're friends with Christine, or I see you're friends with Alisa. So, maybe we might connections. Maybe we might connect. So what's happening there is
Mm,
you're, I'm sort of using you as a referral to say that, well, obviously, you know, if Elise is connected to Alan, Mark is probably saying, well, I know Elisa and I know the way she goes. I know who she likes and who she talks to. And she's very, smart in who she deals with. So he might say, okay, well, that's fair enough. Yeah, well, I'll connect with you there. So you're giving yourself an opportunity, but you're starting a conversation. Always be starting that conversation because that conversation and that is part of building that relationship with the person. And that's basically what LinkedIn is for. It's for networking, it's for doing business, but it's for building them relationships that you can take then not just keep online, but you can take them offline. Have that
sure.
conversation.
Hmm.
Like I know anytime anyone connects with me, if I don't really know them that well, I'd say, great to connect with you. Let's jump on a Zoom call and just say hello. And that's very simple. Or I go the other route of where I'll take out my phone and I'll send them a video message and and thank them for connecting with me.
Oh, that's a nice
Because
idea.
it's so much nicer to receive something like that. Because what you're doing is you're also making the person remember you.
Yeah.
If they're getting a lot of connections every day, you'd stand out.
Yeah.
So
Okay. That makes sense. I also saw an idea about using the skill endorsements to find
mm.
people to follow. So how would you do that?
So just look at people's skills and then you can or type in a skill and you'll get all these lists. You'll get these lists on, on the search, you'll find all this. If I type in marketing or if I go on and I look for a particular sector,
Yeah.
I can very quickly, it'll pull that information through.
Okay. So if I'm looking at Esme Chamberlain's account again. I'm going to scroll down and see if there are some endorsements. There's one for event management endorsed by someone who is highly skilled at this. Would you then go to that person who is highly skilled at this and check them out to maybe
Yeah.
follow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Follow them and see what
Yeah.
content they're delivering.
Okay.
And is this you've got to come back to saying to yourself, here is, would this person be valuable to me? Would
Yep.
this person be able to help me either with my business or give me a business, or as Phoebe said earlier on about building that collaboration? Maybe it's
Yeah.
someone that you could collaborate with. Maybe it's something that you could work on together. You might see something that is on LinkedIn that maybe um, of interest. So just using Brian, we could say he could see a photograph and he'd say, if they had have done that a slight bit different, it would have lifted that photograph a lot more. So
Hmm.
maybe I might mention that. Now you wouldn't obviously mention that, and you wouldn't knock the person's content. But what you would say is say, yeah, I took a similar photograph to this, but I used a different filter or something.
Yeah.
And look, this is the result that I got. So what you're doing there is you're sharing your expertise with the person, but you're also just giving them a different viewpoint. So now that person goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's very interesting," and you're building.
Yeah.
Now you're starting to talk.
Okay. All right. So we're getting into a lot more about like how to engage. Um, but just practically speaking, are you keeping track? Like this week I followed these people, so I need to make sure that I look for them in LinkedIn, or is it more of an organic process?
No, what I would, where I, and this is what I always say to people. Like people say, "Oh, I haven't got the time to do that."
Yeah.
Okay, my answer to that is, Okay, when you get into the office first thing in the morning, what's the first thing you do? You open up
Email.
your email. You open up your emails. That's the
Yeah.
first thing you do. So if you take 10 minutes after that of just going through your LinkedIn feed and just check your notifications. Is there any notifications? Is there any messages that I
Mm,
need to follow up on? And then look through the feed. And even if
okay.
you're to share one piece of content from that feed, you've already started that train rolling
Yeah.
in that type of way. And then you might see something and say, oh, that's very interesting. I might write a piece of content about that. That's a very interesting subject.
Okay.
You can also see if people are looking at that particular piece of content, how many people have viewed it, and you go, well, that's very
Oh,
popular.
huh. I guess I hadn't looked at that. I'd
You
seen
know?
it on my own content, but not hadn't noticed it on other people's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
So it's that type of way. So there's little things. But going back, as you say, I always say to people that it's organically, I will always go to the feed and see. But it'll always
Okay.
show you what people that are connected to you, what their content, what they're putting out on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So it's about being, I suppose, being aware of what's going on. But if you take 10 minutes in the morning or 10 minutes in the evening, you know, it's very easy. Like I know, the way some people are saying, okay, well, I'm on Twitter all the time. Okay, well, how can you be on Twitter all the time? Because, because it's just easy. I just flick through it on my phone. Okay. There's no reason why you can't do the same on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's probably going to be more beneficial for you to be doing it on LinkedIn if that's where
Yeah.
your audience is, or that's where
Hmm.
your potential clients, customers going to be, or your collaborators. If that's where they are, if that's where they're spending their time, spend your time there. You
Yeah. So
know?
I think kind of what we're hearing is yes, make that formal effort to go find a bunch of interesting people to follow. But then it doesn't have to be super. I was going to make an air table and put in like, these are the people I follow, and this is a week. And did I interact with? You don't have to do that if you just get your feed where it needs to be so that you have
Yeah.
those regular people in your feed to interact with.
Because if you start going down that road of, okay, well, I have to follow 10 people or I have to
Yeah.
follow 20 people this week and whatever, now that becomes a chore. Now it becomes a job for you that you have to do. Whereas if
Uh-huh.
you're doing this organically, and as well as that, you've also got to look at it this way, right? And this is what people forget. You've got to enjoy it. You've
Oh, we're
got to
supposed to
enjoy
enjoy it
you,
too, huh?
you've got to enjoy
Yes.
being there. You know what I mean? And that's why we do things. So, like, okay, there might be a strategy behind saying, "Oh well, I'm going to do this on LinkedIn. I'm going to get very proficient on LinkedIn." Yes, well, that's great, and I applaud you for that. But also, you've got to enjoy it. Like I love LinkedIn. Like I've spent the last 15 years talking about it because I
Mm.
just love the whole concept of LinkedIn and the way the connections work and the way you can connect with people and the way you can chat with really interesting people and find really interesting people that are not particularly related to your business or related to what you do, but you'd be amazed at the amount of information that you can gather and the learning is phenomenal on it. So, yet again, there's no set rule of saying, oh, you must follow 20 people
Okay.
every day for the next 30 days and so type of things. Nobody has that time.
Yeah.
Nobody has that time.
Okay.
And now, as I said, now it becomes a job. Now it becomes something that I have to do. Whereas if you're opening up, like we know, as I said to you, the first thing I said when I asked you what's the first thing you do in the morning when you walk into the office, you said, I open emails.
Yeah.
So make it part of your day.
Yeah. I would almost say do LinkedIn first because once you get into email, you're down a rabbit hole of things you
Yeah.
have to do.
It's whatever works for you. It doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean that you have to come in at 10 at 9 or 8 or 9 in the morning and say, oh, I have to go on LinkedIn. It could be, say, 11 o'clock while I'm having a coffee or something. I'll just have a quick scroll through it. Or, after lunch, I might have some coffee and I might do, a little quick search on it.
Yeah.
Great. but
Okay.
you're active on it, and then as well as that, people are seeing you there.
Yeah. Okay. So we have our
Mm.
10 minutes in the morning to do this thing. You've given a lot of examples about how to reach out to people, like sharing, liking, commenting on the content they're sharing. What about? I want to talk about InMail. What is it? How should we use it?
Okay, so email. Okay, so we have standard mail, which is
Like
your messages.
DMs? Yeah.
Yeah, which is your basic message and your PMs. You're able to do that. Okay, your email is more to do with your premium service. Okay,
Okay.
so if you have a premium service, you have 50. I think it's 15. It's 10 or 15 emails that you can send, and that you. So the idea of an email is that it's a level up. So say some people may not have their emails allow you to email them if you're just a standard member. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a premium member on LinkedIn, that is when you're allowed to do that. Okay. But the email, you're only allowed 10 or 15. But what you can do is you're talking directly to the person.
How
And
is that different from sending a DM to that person?
because if for instance, if they block in their emails to standard people,
Mm.
you can't get to them. Whereas if you have the email, then you can do it. Plus, you can also add for there's like you can ask them for an introduction to other people through
Yeah.
email. You know, plus as well with your with I suppose with the email is you can add a lot more content into it as well. So
Oh,
there,
okay. It can be a longer
you know,
message.
there's a
Okay.
longer messages and there's bigger inboxes. There's
Yeah.
a few benefits to it.
Yeah.
You like that's the one thing I will say about LinkedIn is they're very, very good at guiding you and explaining what you can do with the different
Hmm.
packages, or there's the different features that are on it. They're
Yeah.
very, very quick. If they release something, you can be guaranteed
Okay.
there is a blog or there's a post or something about it on it as well. You know,
So yeah. So
yeah.
Brian's asking, they're the big
Brian said,
message boxes.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because I've seen it come up. I do not have LinkedIn Premium, but every once in a while, when I try to DM somebody, it will be a LinkedIn. It'll be an InMail, and it will say, like, you have 5 InMails.
Mm,
I'm like, what? Where did this come from? and,
yeah.
and how am I doing this? Um, yeah, I think it might
But
be
see,
people I'm
someone,
not connected with, maybe.
yeah, but someone who has email can send you one because they're going to make sure that you're going to get this in front. It'll get in front of you.
Yeah, I just didn't understand why I was able
Yeah.
to send them, but
Mm.
anyway, if you can, sure. So there's a big gap though between um, commenting, liking, sharing somebody's content and signing them as a customer. So like, how do you bridge that gap?
It's to do with developing relationships.
Okay.
It's to do with reaching out and connecting with them. You know, I always say when people talk about LinkedIn is to start that conversation there, take it offline, but bring it back online as well. So
Hmm.
bring it back onto LinkedIn. So if you have a conversation by email or over the phone or on Zoom or wherever it may be, that you go back and you don't just say, "Oh, that's grand, that's that sorted." It's
Yeah.
like keep going back to that person and following what they're doing, because the next time that you talk to them, that you now know what's going on in their life and you know what they're interested
Hmm.
in or what they're currently going and they're on about at the moment. That type of way. So
Yeah.
I think it's about bridging that gap, bringing it to sales, is to take it offline and start getting that trust, and that the know, like, and trust part is very important. And at the end of the day, it's a tool to be able to help you to bridge that gap, to be able to develop them. You think about if we go back 30, 40, 30 years ago, okay, we were going cold calling into offices. We didn't know who the person was. We were just going and can I speak to the buyer or whoever it may be. Whereas now we have the opportunity to learn about that person, to learn what they're interested in, to learn what they are doing and what excites them, what interests them.
Yeah.
And now you can start developing that relationship before you've even met the person.
Yeah.
You already know. You know,
Okay.
it's like for instance, I would say is you were on the podcast with me. Okay,
Yeah.
I've been following you for years with regards to Pinterest because it was something that you were the person that I would say, okay, well, if I'm looking for something about Pinterest, I'm going to go to Alisa because
Oh,
she
thank you.
knows you know what I mean. But that's what it is. So when I was following you, so when I got to speak to you and we connected and we done the podcast, I knew you a lot better than if I had just jumped on a concert. Okay, hiya, how are you? Let's do a podcast. So
Mm,
it's about building them and finding out about how that, because now you're in a better position to create that set because you know an angle of what way to come at this to come to sell that product to them as well.
yeah. Yeah.
You're reverse engineering. It's they call it's design thinking basically. It's going from when you've sold it, right? How the steps did you make to get to that to get to
Right.
there? And
So
LinkedIn is part of that cog.
yeah, it seems like the way we're talking about it now, it's very, very inbound. So we are attracting people to us rather than sending those DMs that none of us really like, which is, I have this thing, I want to meet with you. When can I have an hour of your time? Like,
But there's the other side, as you say, it's inbound. Okay, we're looking at it from an inbound situation here.
uh-huh.
We've also got to look at it from an outbound situation.
Okay. I want to hear about
So if we want to be seen, we have to start putting content out that is
that. Yeah.
relevant to the people that we want the content to be seen by.
Right.
So if we're starting to see, so basically, if I'm starting to put out, let's just go back to Brian. So Brian probably has a fabulous portfolio
Mm-hmm.
of photographs of beautiful, beautiful pictures that he can start promoting on LinkedIn and saying, here's a picture of a sunset I took. I don't know, or here's a picture of a wedding that we took, and it's all people enjoying themselves, and speak about the context of how we took the photograph, or the shading, the colors, and stuff like that, and start putting that information out on LinkedIn, and
Yeah.
started now because now what he's doing is he's shown himself as the expert. He's shown himself in the light of people say, "Oh, that's very interesting. I must speak to Brian." Or I must follow Brian. And now I'm starting to talk to him. So you see the way you're pushing that content out, but you've got to remember, can I solve a problem?
Okay. So he's been doing this for a couple months, let's say, and he's been interacting with Bovie Castle and Esme. And so the goal is we're hoping one day Esme will say, "Hey, Brian, let's have a talk because we need some new photographers to refer people to." Is that kind of our end game?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We're looking at it from that angle, but we're also looking at when they come along and um, in their marketing meeting or whatever the meetings is that they go, we need some new photographers. All of a sudden, Brian's in front of mine because
Yeah.
Brian has been. There's a guy on LinkedIn who's I've been sort of looking at, and it pops up in my feed every time, every so often. He might be someone that we should maybe give him a call, or we maybe should talk to him. So now he's already. That's the outbound part of it. So
Right.
they're noticing him as opposed to him trying to get in front of them for them to notice, to reverse engineer a type of thing.
Okay.
You know.
That makes sense. So Brian has a question. Can we tag venues and people on LinkedIn? And I'm going to add on to that. When should we or not do that?
Well, it depends on what you're doing. Okay, you can.
Okay.
Yes, you can. The ultimate answer is yes, you can. You can tag venues or people. All you have to do is to put the at sign before
Okay.
before the person's name. Type in the name, and their name will come up in a drop down list, and you'll just be able to pick whoever it is.
Yeah.
And like that, you're tagging them, so they're going to see it because they've been mentioned in the post. or the piece of content or whatever you want to call it. You can do exactly the same with venues, but I sort of, I'm 50-50 on it.
I can hear the conflict.
Yeah, I am a very, there is a bit of conflict there, because I sort
Yeah.
of say to myself, there's one particular person on LinkedIn that I'm connected to, and I actually had to say it to them and say, would you stop tagging me in every post? Because some of the posts that he was putting out, they were of no relevance to me.
Yes.
But
Okay.
because he was connected, we say, "Oh, that's great, because now anyone that's on Alan's feed will see it." But no, in actual fact,
Yeah.
they won't. They
Oh.
they will. Well, it's not so much that they won't, but they'll just go, "Oh," they'll float by it,
Yeah.
because it's of what
You see
happens
this
is
on
if
every
someone,
platform. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, and it's just you go, "Oh, it couldn't be," and you just scroll straight by it. So now you've lost that impact.
Okay.
So that's where I'm saying is think about why you're going to tag this person, or why you're going to tag that company.
What would be a good reason to tag a person or company?
So a friend of ours, he does walking tours around Dublin,
Oh.
and really, really good. He's a historian as much as
Mm.
anything else. So he knows the history of Dublin and the streets and whatever. And the other week he was in Trinity College here, which I think everyone knows worldwide. It's,
Mhm.
so Trinity, he was walking through Trinity College, and he walking through the gateways, and he started a video, and he done a little video, only 30, 40 seconds long, of him walking through the thing. And it was fabulous. And he told the history of it and done a little bit of things. He then he tagged Trinity College in it.
Oh, that makes sense. Yep.
So that was a really good one. Trinity College came back and liked it,
Oh,
and
really?
they reposted it. And of course, Trinity College have a huge following.
Yeah.
So hence, now this particular guy has been seen by, maybe 60, 70,000 people that he would have never got in front of. So that's a benefit of tagging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a good reason for that. So I think, and that's where I would say yes. There's other times when you just like, you could be talking about a pair of Nike shoes. Oh yeah, let's tag Nike in it.
Hmm.
Really, it's of no relevance.
Right.
That type of way. I'd be more inclined to tag the shop that I bought the Nikes in,
Yes. Yep. That makes
because that's
total
going to be
sense.
more beneficial to you.
Okay. Glad we got some good questions here. Keep them coming if you have questions for Alan. Brian asks, is it good to link back to my site on posts? For example, I post an image from a wedding, tag the venue and other supplier, then link back to the full album.
Now, I was talking to someone the other day,
Okay.
and they work within LinkedIn.
Oh, nice. Connections.
And yeah, and they sort of we were talking about algorithms and stuff. Okay. So really what LinkedIn wants you to do is to stay on the platform.
Of course they do.
They want you to stay on the platform. They don't want you directing people away from the platform. So they don't look too
Mm,
favorably on. Now they will still post it, but you won't get as much, publicity with a post if it is, if there's a link in it. So the idea, well, what I try and say to people is write your piece of content and put the link as the first comment in the
yeah.
post.
Okay.
And then you can mention that, and you can say, for more information, see the comments, see the link in the comments, type
Yeah.
of thing. Because you're not taking them off,
That
because the
makes sense.
algorithm is reading the text. It's looking for a link. It's not looking for
Mm,
actual text, if you know what I mean.
yes, I know what you mean. Okay, that's
So,
brilliant. Okay.
so that's one thing. That's what I would say. That's what I say. You can still do it. Like, it's not gonna hurt anybody.
Yeah.
But it's an alternative to be able to. It's an alternative way of doing it.
Okay, so since you had that conversation, I have a question. Because I've had this question, the same question as Brian. Like, it seems like I don't get much action if I share a blog post on there. So I've tried this a couple times. I've just copied and pasted it into a LinkedIn article. Is that a good idea? Like, if he had a blog post about how to plan a wedding, would he just recreate that on LinkedIn as an article instead of linking?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
you're not going off the platform.
Okay.
You're guiding them within the platform. It's just you're just guiding to a different room. But the other good thing about that and the good thing about doing an article on LinkedIn is every time you create an article, it enhances your profile because it automatically will put a link in. It'll put a, if you ever go in, you see all activities,
Yeah.
and it'll show posts, it'll
Yep.
show articles, and then it'll also show that you have wrote however many blog posts, and which is their version is his articles. So it's
Yeah.
good for building up also your your credibility on your profile as well.
I feel like I need to do that more. Okay. Wow,
So
this is great.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's things like that that people go, oh, I never really thought about it that way, and they go, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Dara, Roots of Home, was typing that exact question about blog posts. Oh, good. I'm glad that wasn't just me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it
Okay.
is, and the blog posts are great. They're absolutely great to be able to do.
Yeah.
Because some people may not particularly want to go to your website, or they may, not so much that they may not want to go to your website, but they may sort of say to themselves, okay, if they're on their phones, it's harder for them to read it on their phones.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's on LinkedIn and it's in that nice feed, and it's
Okay.
simple
Yeah.
and easy to read. So there's I suppose the visual aspect of it as well. You
Very
know.
nice. Okay. Well, I want to share this link out again, Kompass Media with a K.ie because of Ireland. Uh, so if you want to find out more about what Alan's working on, you want to tell us what else you're working on?
There's so much going on at the
Yeah.
moment. I'm
Okay.
currently in the process of writing a book, my first book.
Ooh, exciting.
People have been asking me for years to write a book, and I keep saying yeah, and they say, when are you going to do it? So
It's
I'm
this
currently
year.
in the process. So I'm
Okay.
hoping sort of towards the end of March that we should have something. But yeah, there's loads of stuff going on, and training and delivering training, and happy to talk to anyone if they're looking for advice or whatever. Reach out to me. Make sure you connect with me on LinkedIn,
Yes,
and just
that's
make
great.
sure that you said that you've seen us here, and I'd be delighted to chat with you. And if you have any
Oh,
questions,
thank you.
I'm more than delighted to talk.
Oh,
So, but please do
very
reach
nice.
out, and you'll find me across all of the usual social platforms everywhere. If you type in Google, you go to Google and just type in Alan Hennessey, you're going to find me.
Yeah, two
So
N's, two S's. I had to get that through my head.
yeah, HENNESSY, and it's only ALAN. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, thank you again. That's a very generous offer, and you've been really generous with all your information. I learned
Mm.
an awful lot. Brian's convinced that the shows are getting shorter. Maybe they're just getting more fun. But I certainly
Just
appreciate
getting
all of
more
you.
engrossed. Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
it's like a TV show. You go, oh,
It's over. I
it's
know, but
over.
thank you for all who were here live. Those who watching the replay, really appreciate it. This show really is for you, and because we have fun doing it. But until next time, everybody take care. Thanks again, Ellen. Bye bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye.